Okay. So first we will start with a brief introduction to the BIC Africa project. Then we will have a short overview of what this webinar series is about. Then we will go into the core of this session, which is the presentation by the 3 African entrepreneurs who are with here to us. They will share their success stories, the challenges they faced, and how they overcame them, and then answer to the questions of the audience towards the end of the session, which will be a sort of an open discussion, and then we will have a wrap up. Next slide, please. So our moderator today, as I mentioned, is Douglas Thompson. He's a manager of the international area at SPI, which is a consultancy company in Portugal based in Porto. So Douglas actually was already involved in quite a lot of BIC Africa elements. So starting from on-site boot camps, for business incubators throughout various activities, indeed, with diaspora entrepreneurs, and has a vast experience really in capacity building activities in Europe and also in Africa and globally. So thanks a lot, Douglas, for being here today with us, and we will be looking forward to the session. And before we dive in really to the core, I will just make a quick introduction on what is the BIC Africa project. Next slide, please. Right, so I'm representing EBN, the European Business and Innovation Center Network. We are actually based in Brussels, in Belgium. And EBN itself started as an EC-funded project, actually, in 1985, with the mission to create a network of business innovation centers, of incubators, that really represented a high level of quality and that could support clients, entrepreneurs, SMEs, mainly focusing on innovation. So actually, well, today we deliver a wide range of technical business support services and quality assessment and certification products. So actually, one of our core activities is certifying our members, incubators in Europe and beyond Europe. So this certification process is based on a quality assessment and is quite complex. But the goal really is to have a quality label that also reassures then clients, entrepreneurs that the business incubator that they are becoming members of or are benefiting from the services of are really of high quality and that they're in good hands. So actually our EU-BIC members, the certified members, they provide really a complex spectrum of entrepreneurial innovation support, including incubation, acceleration, internationalization services, access to funding, connection to investors, and so on. So this is just briefly about EBN. And next slide, please. Right, thank you. So a little bit now about the BIC Africa project. So actually, this project is funded by the European Union. It is part of the EU program, which is called Support to Entrepreneurship and MSME Creation. So this overall program consists of 5 country projects, and each of these projects are aiming to establish and consolidate business incubators with the long-term aim to foster job creation and also creating sustainable livelihoods. So as you can see, there is a project in Angola, in Comoros, in Ethiopia, in Madagascar, and Somalia. So each of these projects really have a different work program for each other, but with the same overall goal. And 3 of them are implemented by UNIDO, one of them, the Ethiopian, by SEQUA, a German consultancy company, and the Angola country project is implemented by IFC, which is part of the World Bank. In addition to these 5 country projects, BIC Africa is creating a regional network as a so-called 6th project with dedicated capacity building and networking support, and also providing software networking services, let's say, to the wider incubation ecosystem in the region. So our role is basically to interconnect these 5 projects, to complement them in a way, and to provide additional services as well. Next slide, please. Right, so our direct beneficiaries are business incubators. So most of the time we provide capacity building and other type of services for business incubators, incubator managers especially. But the final beneficiaries are the entrepreneurs, the SMEs, and the startups. And we also, in this process, work with a lot of indirect beneficiaries, such as policymakers, business angels. We work closely with the EU delegations in each of the countries, and with other research innovation stakeholders as well. Next slide, please. Yes, so just to give a short overview of the service offer that we have for the business incubators in support of the country projects. So we have capacity building and skill development services. So we organize virtual online capacity building trainings and also on-site boot camps. We've
Okay, we lost you a bit there, Christina. Maybe I can just take over. Go ahead then.
Yeah, no worries. We are connecting African and European incubators. So we have a service that is called Landing, whereby business.
I'm sorry, I don't know if it's me who's losing them or
to really learn from each other, to see how things work in Europe and also in Africa, and to possibly also establish a collaboration and a similar service, which is called Staff Exchange Program. And thereby the principle is the same, but we have an exchange between incubator managers from different African countries. So for example, Comorians going to Madagascar, and incubator manager from Madagascar going to each other's organization. Then we have quality assurance. This is related to the EBN certification I mentioned before. So we are trying to assess the quality of the various incubators we're working with. Finally, well, we also have various programs which are targeting more directly the entrepreneurs rather than the incubators. So this session today is one of them, the connection with diaspora. In this type of sessions, our goal is really to connect entrepreneurs with each other more than business incubators. And we also have a so-called acceleration program for female entrepreneurs. So again, that is one of our services that is directly targeted at established female entrepreneurs across sub-Saharan Africa. And we run a program for about 3 months. These are because most of the time still we work directly with the incubators. And we're trying to also raise awareness about various opportunities for them, to interconnect them. That's the whole goal, to create a network and establish connections. Okay, so without taking more time, I would then hand back over to Douglas. Thank you very much, Douglas, and thanks for introducing again the webinar series and our speakers today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone who's here. So very briefly, this seminar is part of a series of seminars for diaspora entrepreneurs. with the aim to reach out to communities in Europe and beyond, obviously focusing on the countries which Christina has just said. I think importantly to say there'll be 3 more sessions in 2025 after today's session, which obviously will be the last one of this year. We're still choosing the subjects, but we're trying to focus on sectors such as IT and food. So if anyone has any ideas, for instance, on other sectors which might be of interest, then of course we would be very, very happy indeed to do that. We can come back to the participants afterwards to see if they have any further suggestions. But really what we want to do today is to get on with asking our entrepreneurs here to provide us with 5-8 minutes of introduction to themselves, to their organizations, the challenges they've had as an entrepreneur in the fashion sector with an African basis. Our first person today is Omar Mooney. Now, I'll let him introduce himself, but just to say that originally from Somalia, he's got his own clothing brand and having arrived in the Netherlands at a young age. I put this information on the slides just so that when people download them afterwards, that they can they can have a background to who Omar is. So if it's okay, Omar, I'd like to ask you to start start your discussion. I'll leave this slide on. So that people can see your picture and your background. So please do go ahead, Omar. And again, many thanks for giving your time today. I know how busy you are,
Yeah,
especially this time of year.
of
So
course,
many thanks.
of course, no problem. Hi, everyone. And my name is Omar Mooney. And I was born in Somalia. And at the age of 9, we fled with my 2 little brothers, with my siblings, to the Netherlands as a refugee. So yeah, I came in the Netherlands with nothing. So I didn't know the language, nothing. And without my mother, she said, "You go first to Europe, and I will come after a week." That week took for like 3 years. So I started to discover the country with my sister. She was 18. And that went very fast, and I felt very home in the Netherlands. There were like a lot of opportunities what they gave us. Just as a refugee, it was a different time. It was 85 it was 95. So refugees, they were very well welcomed, and I felt home. So I changed a little bit my place for the Netherlands, and by the way, still felt like a Dutchman, but also with the Somali roots. I love the Somali roots. I took a lot of inspiration from the Somali roots, and so I went to the fashion school, and yeah, I had a good time there, and it was for me very, very hard to go there because my mom, she didn't want me to go there, and because she thought did everything to get you in Europe, and now you're gonna do this fashion things. We did that all in our country, and it wasn't so interesting. But I really love fashion, so I felt very home at the fashion school. I won the prize as best student of the year between 600,000 other students. It was really amazing. Like I said, I came as a refugee. I was always behind every lesson in the class. And so from that moment, I knew what winning prizes did with me. So I started to win prizes, and prizes like Best Entrepreneur under the 25. And with prizes, my companies grows. So I started making handbags from the kitchen table, my mom's place. I still can hear her. I still can hear her. She will say, "Don't do this because there is no future in this." And so Oma Muni clothing started really at the kitchen table, not with a business plan, not big things around it. And I made the first handbag, and I came to my classrooms. They wanted to buy the handbag, and I told them I will come back with 3 other bags. And I sold them for 35 euros that time. And now many years later, I did beautiful things with my handbags. I made bags for Oprah Winfrey, for Hillary Clinton. I was working for almost 16 years in the top, the high-end handbags, with beautiful shops in the Netherlands. And now the past 4 years, dive in the streetwear because that's how I started doing fashion. I remember when I was a young kid um, during the days on the soccer field, there was a guy. He was wearing beautiful 501 Levi jeans, and I really love that jeans. And I asked him, "Where did you buy them?" He said, "I'm on the fashion school." And that moment was really my first love for fashion. But in that time, like almost 17, 18 years ago, fashion wasn't interesting. But the boys that were not so into fashion like now, men fashion was especially the woman. And now so I'll go back to my roots, how I ever started, how I ever had my first love for the fashion. And I do now the streetwear high end, and I really love it. We're very successful in this. It's very commercial. We have shops like in the Westfield, in Amsterdam, and in Rotterdam. They're all like high-end streetwear shops inspired on the culture. So every time when I'm creating things, I started from my culture, and you will see that in the design, but in the same time, in the really need to fit in on the Europe people. The Europe people are also the African people, but uh, can we wear it these days now? It means like, is it still fashion? Is it still trending? But fashion and I mean the culture, fashion comes together in on a Mounier. Mounier is an old school family name, uh, very old. We don't use it anymore. But I thought it sounds very nice and very fancy, and I love always going back to the roots. But it's really beautiful to see how the Dutch people love the products, what inspire is on the African traditional ways. But also sometimes we're using Arabic culture vibes, and I love working from the culture, and yeah, I love being an entrepreneur. It's not always easy. Like 4 or 5 years ago, I really thought there was one of my biggest success. I had the opportunity to buy the big building next to the royal family in the city center, and because we had a lot of success with our handbags, and from the government they gave me the opportunity to buy that building, but not everyone was allowed to buy that building. And when I had that opportunity and I did it, at the moment when I was in that building, I had a lot of negative um, reactions, negative influence of people. It was very painful. There's also the other side of being successful. I think, yeah, I think, I don't think, but it was like that. I had letters like, "We don't want refugees in our most beautiful high-end streets. This is not your place. We don't want you here." So a lot of negative things on the newspaper. It was very hard time, but I believe that's also part of being successful in the top, and also being a little bit entrepreneur with a different background. But I don't know, it happens here in the Netherlands. Maybe I think it happens everywhere in the world, but it doesn't mean like it's somewhere something to be afraid of. And honestly, uh, I took a step back to make more 2 steps forward, and I think I'm happy uh, to being in that position, because now my company is so much more successfuler than then. And so yeah, those are the other side of being entrepreneur and being successful in what you do. Especially in Europe, you're always a little bit different, and in the same time, I feel very the same. There's a lot of opportunities here, but I think everywhere in the world you have some ups and downs, and yeah, and that's me. 18 years entrepreneur now, very happy. Just being dad from a 3 years old girl. That's my world for now. And yeah, if there's any question, I'm here for you guys, and I'm happy Douglas, you asked me to enjoy you guys. I'm always create this company to giving back to the community, and honestly, from day one, try to support where I can support. So that's me. Yeah.
I must thank you so much. That's such an interesting journey, such an interesting story. I really both inspiring, but and just very interesting. And I really like the idea how you were drawing this um, movement between the artist side and the entrepreneurial side. I mean, that's very interesting, and how this journey of 18 years as an entrepreneur has
Yeah.
been successful, but ups and downs and changes
Yeah.
and changes on the way. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. I think what I'll do, if it's okay, because we've got a relatively small audience, is that I'll ask maybe Adebola to and Ros and then Ros to introduce give their short presentation, short introduction as well. And then if there's any questions, we can go to Q&A afterwards. Of course, anyone who's got questions, then please do just put them in the chat, and we'll make sure that they're implementing. But Omar, that was really interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes, no problem.
Fantastic. If that's okay, then maybe I'll just go to Adebola, who is you can see on the screen as well, from Nigeria, with a focus on UK, but also Canada and the US. Adebola, as I said, we've got some background information on you on the screen, but I think it's much more interesting to hear from yourself. So maybe I can ask you to present yourself, the company, the challenges you've faced, and anything else you might think is interesting to our audience today.
Oh, okay. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me, BIC Africa. And Omar, that was such an inspiring story you just shared. Amazing, amazing. So my name is Adebola, and I come from Nigeria. And I'm also born into a family of entrepreneurs. So I've always been an entrepreneur ever since I left school. It was just inevitable for me to do business, right? I'll say my background is pretty much in manufacturing, because I ran the companies and the family business. We were into manufacturing of tissue papers, and we did that for over 17 years. We were the second biggest tissue manufacturing company in Nigeria, and we had a representation nationwide and in some neighboring states. So I did that for almost 16 years. Before I exited the company, before we sold our company, I decided along the line, think about 5 years ago, to go into fashion. And fashion business is not something that was pretty new to me, because growing up, my mom ran a fashion business. And I believe that from there, I kind of had an interest in fashion. It's funny that getting into the university as a fresher, I was quick to, go into fashion myself in my own little way, where I will come to, whenever I travel for summer, I'll go back to school and have some things to sell, clothes to sell to my friends in the uni. So fashion has always been something that I've always been interested in. But particularly, I've been interested in the African prints, mainly our Nigerian prints. So we have our own indigenous print, which is Adire and Ashoke. So this is like a tie and dye, handmade, hand-dyed fabrics. So the artistry work is done by us. The dyeing ourselves, the process of dyeing is also done by us. And so I decided if I was going to go into business, if I was going to go into the fashion space, I wanted to do mainly the indigenous fabrics. And so that's what Iridire does at the moment. Iridire is that high street brand that focuses mainly on indigenous fabrics like Adire and Ashoke. And I started while still running the family business, our tissue manufacturing business. And I started it as a side hustle. I didn't think so much of it. I didn't want to go fully into it. I just saw it as a side hustle, something that could just give me a passive income, sort of. So for the production aspect of it, I outsourced my production from the get-go of the business. I outsourced the production of making the clothes, outsourced the production of even dyeing the clothes. So I usually will buy, when I started, I usually will buy from third parties, the fabrics from third parties, also give the making of the styles to another party. And I just dealt with sourcing the fabrics and giving the styles to the tailors, and I just sell. I started very small from my room, from my living space, where I just, once the clothes come back to me, I just take pictures and I post it on Instagram to say, this is what we have, this is what's available. And I did that for almost a year. And I remember one of those days where customers will call and say, oh, I need this. And I'm telling them, oh, by the way, it's finished. We're going to have to wait for the next batch. And my mom looked at me and said, I think you need to own your production. And at that point, I wasn't thinking of having my own production outfit. I just wanted to outsource whatever was going to be a difficult task for me, because I was running a family business at the time. And again, at that time, I didn't think so much of the business. I just felt it was something that should just earn me money on the side. And she kept saying that to me, that you need to have your own production, you need to own your space, you need to be in control of your production. And because I was trying to kind of run away from the responsibility, because this is me having to deal with factory, running the tissue business and having to deal with operators and all of that. So I was trying to avoid owning another factory, so to speak. And so one of those days I went to her house and I saw a sewing machine, and I was like, who owns that? And she was like, you own it. And I was like, where is the tailor who is going to make the clothes? And she said to me, don't worry, we'll find a tailor. It's funny, a few weeks down the line, I got one tailor and he started making the clothes. And honestly, for the first 6 weeks of having one tailor make the clothes for me, I realized that what I've been doing for the past 1 year was a joke. Like I started to, the quantity the quantity I started to churn out from just one tailor was really, really encouraging. And I said to myself, okay, now we need a space, we need to get more hands. And so fast forward to today, we have about 10 tailors, and they're still not enough. We're not able to meet up with the demand of the customers. We moved into our first physical store 2 years down the line after, 6 months after having a tailor. We moved into our own physical store. So it was no more like an online business now that we had a physical store that people could come to and all of that. 5 years down the line, today we're working on our flagship store, which we hope to open by next year. By the end of first quarter by next year, that will be like our permanent site. It's our building. We're able to get a building of our own, and we're renovating at the moment to open it. Has the journey been? It's been really, really encouraging. Running Iredere, it's been so satisfying. Not without these challenges, of course, crazy challenges, but once you start to do something that you really love, even when it's challenging, you just have this belief that it will be fine, you will overcome it. For all the challenges that I've had running Iredere, I've always been able to surmount it. What would I say I would love to have been able to conquer while running the business? What I'll say is I would have loved to have maybe like a mentor. Of course, I've been an entrepreneur for over 2 decades. I know how to run business. I know what it means to be profitable. I know how to, compute my numbers and know that I'm right in the game. But again, you know how it is that each field and each industry comes with its own different challenges. You could be a good manager of business, you could be a good entrepreneur, but you might just need someone to teach you in a particular industry that you're not used to. So fashion wasn't something I was coming from. I was coming from manufacturing of tissue papers. So I would have loved to have a mentor who's gone ahead of me, who's done so many years in what I'm doing, to show me or to let me know, or give me the confidence that I need to say you're doing the right thing. Even though sometimes you might be doing the right thing, but you just need a nudge. You need someone who you think has gone ahead of you to say, just right on, this is how to do it. This is how to deal with the tailors. How do I increase my capacity? I'm having to learn a lot by myself. And I think what would have been a major cause of that is because when you're in the same country or the same field with someone who you see as a mentor or who you think has gone ahead of you, approaching such a person sometimes could look like you're competing with me in the same market. Why do I have to tell you how to go about it? So I would say that has been like a major challenge for me, finding that person who can give my a handheld holding sessions where they're like, okay, how are you going about it? And how do you do this? So I'm having to learn a lot by myself. One major challenge also, I would say, is increasing capacity, in the sense that having to get enough good hands in the production aspect, because you want a situation where you have 10 tailors right now. All of them know what to do. All of them know that you're all about the international standards when it comes to quality. But having more hands to join the team, having good hands to join the team, has been like a major challenge. It's a peculiar industry. It has its own craziness. And I'm in a country where a lot of the tailors that you find around feel like, you can't do without me. You need me in your system. So I could give you any you have to take me the way I am. So where you're trying to create some form of discipline, some form of work culture with the hands, they're pretty much like unskilled labor. Some of them don't have the 4 walls of education, the formal education. So it could be a bit challenging to kind of train them to get to that point where they understand where the vision of the company is, where the mission of the company is. So I think that has been a challenge. So increasing our capacity, having more good hands, and also having a mentor to say this is how you go about it, I would say has been my major challenge. But by and large, our products have been well accepted across board. I wanted to, my idea of starting the business was to see Africans wear our stuff from Monday to Sunday. So it's a high street brand, right? But we cater to your everyday wear. So I wanted a situation where, as Africans, or even to the Western world, let them see our prints as products that they can put on from Monday to Sunday. So that's where we are right now. We have customers all over. And thankfully with DHL, we've got an e-commerce account with DHL, where we're able to ship our products to customers all over the world. I'm hoping to have in the nearest future, have a representation in the UK, have a representation in the US as well. So that's my story.
Fantastic. That's so interesting. Again, a really inspiring story as well. As you say, starting from a relatively small base, but now with staff of 10 tailors working for you. Also interested in this idea of the challenges of growth in terms of production. First of all, moving your production, moving your production methods, and then having to deal with and manage and create a work culture for those people working in your entrepreneurial venture. I also noted that as you were talking about mentors, there's a potential that you've been working with other entrepreneurs as well through the Profiting Hub platform. But the idea of a mentor and how that can help on a long-term basis, I think is very interesting indeed as well. And I'd maybe like to pick that up perhaps in the questions and answers at the end. So very, very interesting, very challenging, excellent. Thank you so much. I wonder if we can then move to Rose from Angola, but also with a focus on Brazil and Italy. And again, we put some very brief information and links to yourself, Rosa. But maybe I can just ask you to take over, introduce yourself, talk about your organization, the companies, the challenges, the journey.
Yes.
We'd be very interested indeed.
So hello, everyone. Thank you for this invitation. Since my language, my birth language is not English, I wrote something about my story so I can share with you everything and not forgetting the details. But I will start saying that since I was a little girl, I always knew that I wanted to be a fashion designer. Because I always saw on TV and saw the women in my family that they were very strong, but I always thought that they needed to be very well dressed so we can pay attention of what they want in life. I always thought about it this way. So since very, very young age, I always knew, I always told my family that when I grow up, I'm going to be a fashion designer, I'm going to have a store in Angola, and I'm going to be around the world. So this didn't happen like that, but I will read my story so you guys can know a little bit about it. So my name is Rose Palhares. I am 40 years old and I have a degree in fashion design, working more specifically in Angola in the market for 12 years. My brand carries my name, and within the group Rose Palhares operate in 3 areas: tailor-made, ready-to-wear, and visually and identity for companies, ranging from creating logos to uniforms. This is something that I saw that it will, in Angola, we need it. And since Rose Palhares became a big brand in the first year that she was born, people started to ask if, Rose, can you create logos? Can you do uniforms? So I always feel that if the client comes to me and asks for something 1, 2, 3 times, that is a place so the brand can step in. So I always gain this, I think, a little bit of this intuition of feeling, okay, where the brand can be. And the focus is, I want people to go to a place, to go to a hotel, a restaurant, hospital, a school, and see that it's not about only the work and the experience, but also how they are presenting themselves. Because we Africans, and especially Angolans, we love to be well dressed. So I don't think it should be only in the streets, but should be for everyone. So I took this opportunity to open these 3 areas in the group Rose Palhares: tailor-made, ready-to-wear, that exists for 4 years, and the visual identity of companies 4 years too. When I founded my brand in 2012, I focused in African fabrics. It was something that was missing in Angola fashion, modernization of the use of the African fabric. But in a way, the interruption of history and culture by the African diaspora ended up providing a natural thirst for more references, and that at that time we were a little swallowed up by the onslaught on an international level. This apparent absence of African references also led to an oversized search for inspiration, not only exterior, but also interior, which increased the personal burden placed on the brand in certain periods. These solutions in practice with fashion resulted positively at the time, so much that it gained greater international recognition, included my presence in Festival of Cannes in 2017, 18, and 19, and also the brand's recognition as one of the most interesting in Africa by Vogue Italy in 2016. I think it was all because of the way I work with the African fabrics. I use the African fabrics, and I use the culture besides in the brand. However, upon reaching this level, it also became more notable that there was actually something missing for the brand and for me in terms of roots, because with the time I felt that I was losing a little bit, because we needed more reference and more information about Africa, and not only the African fabrics, and that's it. I felt that I needed more, so I stepped back a little bit of these African visuals and started working for myself, looking in myself, where can I put more Africa in my work? So I started to see that I needed to have an African message, and also practical effectiveness of production, textile industry, and realization in Africa. The process of returning to Angola took place a little in this sense. So during the Festival of Cannes, I was in Portugal and in Paris, so I could do all the dresses and work closer. And then in 2020, I returned to Angola. But my focus was I needed to have a textile industry so I can show to everyone around in the world that we Angolans, we could do that. Because in Angola, we have industry, but only for uniforms, not for fashion. So I started to see that, okay, this is another opportunity that we can have. I could put my brand in it. So during the pandemic, despite all the social and economic difficulties, it was possible to experience a little of these new moments with the production of masks, which were carried out in Angola with local fabrics and labor, and which ended up contributing a lot to our population. Currently, we see this process bearing more fruit in the sense of a perspective of industrialization, which was never achieved also due this diaspora and interrupted African history, but also in the prominence that Africa gains at a global level. The continent stands out not only for strategic issues in global politics, like Biden was here a few weeks ago, for example, but also for the attention that Afro-descendants around the world are paying to their motherlands. Example, actors, players, musicians, artists, journalists who seek to restore ties with Africa. Nowadays, my reality is a brand with more than 20 workers who receive training so that they can be ready for the next big step, which will be opening our first clothing factory to not only respond to our collections and our clients in Angola, but also around the world. After 5 years of investing in national staff, I feel that we are more than ready to export the name of Angola through the fashion. Without a doubt, we are in the right time and to regain that power. And I think Rose Palhares can be one of these brands that can be in the first line to do it. My biggest difficulties, the most of our workers, they didn't have the basic of the scholarity. So giving training for them and not teaching them that you can be a focused human being before you being a professional worker is something that we are fighting to show them this. In Angola, we are very poor. Our economy is very poor. Sometimes these young guys and workers, they don't see the future. They don't dream about the future. They just live for today, for tomorrow, and maybe next week, and that's it. So for me, I have to put my dream in so many little ways and try to put these seeds on their mind so they can believe that since we are so many younger people in Angola, we can be in the fashion industry. So this is what I'm working for. It was a dream when I started, but now it's a responsibility as an African, as a woman, as a lady that wants to change fashion and wants to change the economy in Angola through fashion, because I really believe in that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Rose. Again, very inspiring. I love how the way you finished that what you're doing is an entrepreneurial venture, but it's also a social venture. It's also a personal venture. It's also something which enables people to link with their birth locations and enables development within the country of productions. That's very, very interesting indeed. And of course, you mentioned that it was part of your goal then to put Africa within your message, to Africa, within the products and the styles that you were developing. So
Yes,
thank you very much
thanks.
for sorry, Ross. Thank you so much for our three presenters. I know we've got a relatively small group just now, so if I don't know if anyone has got any questions, if they could either put their hand up or just start talking, because everyone has access to the microphone. If not, I'm not sure if I see anyone. If not, then I actually have a question. I noticed that you all three of you mentioned prizes. That this the idea of being of awards was one of the aspects which helped develop your organization, your entrepreneurship, get your name on the map in effect. I was wondering if you could just maybe expand a little bit on that. Maybe Omar, you mentioned it specifically as well. But I think that initially that there was you were able to win some. Able to win some prizes, awards, which then allowed you to. Omar.
Sorry, Douglas, I lost you. You say you were all able to win prizes?
No, yeah, my apologies for that. But that you had won some prizes in your earlier career, which enabled you to help develop your brand. I was wondering if you could maybe expand on that a little.
Yes, of course. So I started the company from zero. I have still no banks. I have no investors. So as I said, the first bag was 35 euros. We start from there. So it grows now, and yeah, it goes now everywhere. So these prizes I really needed to be recognized from others. And with the prizes, you were growing. So when people see you, for example, you start selling bags and you get more orders to sell. And also next to our high-end line, I create a lot of designer products. I was very innovative that time. That was really always my goal, to be the most sustainable designer. We're talking about 12, 13 years ago. So I created for the KLM from the old uniforms. We collect them all. And here in the Netherlands, we had our production in the Netherlands, almost like 30 people working. So we recycled everything. And those things, it was really very interesting, commercial wise, but sustainable wise, but also put yourself on the map. So I was the first one who turned the old uniforms of the KLM employees, and I made from those uniforms handbags. And I made also the first one they sent it, I didn't know, to the Queen, and we've been recognized like the most sustainable in that time. It was amazing. So again, you win a prize for sustainability. So for me, it was very important to be seeing, and because we didn't have money to invest and to grow like normal companies grow. We grow by really winning prizes, and that's the most important thing in my career. And now, honestly, of course, it's always cool to win prizes. I don't have time to win prizes. I need to be take care about. If you have a shop like in Westfield, it really goes fast. And I always say to my employees, guys, every day is a Champions League match. We're operating on the highest level, so it needs to be good. And I'm always happy when people like you call me of send me a message to do something different and to support. But yeah, winning prizes, that was really my thing. Yeah, I don't win prizes anymore. I get the past 3 years, only small things, but yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Excellent. No, that's interesting. No, I like the way that the point of winning prizes was a key thing. Absolutely a key thing to get recognition and to get build up of the business. Rosa, I think you also said that you've had recognition from Elle and from one or two other really quite well-known organizations. Yes.
So when I started my first line, I was still a student in Brazil. So I decided that during my years of studying of college, I was going to do all my collections because I was like using my professors and everybody. So I was like, okay, help me do my collection. So when I go back to Angola, I will sell it. So this is what happened. The investment came from my first partner. But unfortunately, in Angola, when you win prizes and when you are recognized, they don't pay you nothing. They don't give you nothing. So you just gain the courage and the inspiration to do more.
Yeah, but it's same here, Rose.
Oh, okay.
No one really ever one penny. It's same here, but the recognition, it's interesting to make steps.
Exactly. Yes.
And then you go also fast. And a lot of people think always I need money to make steps, but I believe like, what is your talent? You need that more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. It
So
doesn't have
since
to do something with the country. I think no, they never gave me money, but it's okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay. Maybe it
Yeah.
was for the best.
Yeah, exactly.
So every time I had that recognition, like in Vogue Italy, in Elle from South Africa, even in Angola, the prizes that I received, all the awards and this I use for gain more clients, and then with more clients to sell more and to sell more to grow up. So that's the way I work till today. I always did the prices in a way that I wanted everybody to have the opportunity to use gross palhares, because for me we are not selling clothes, we are selling like I don't know how to say. It's like you know, when you have that confidence, when you love yourself, when you start to look at the mirror and start to feel empowered. Yeah, this is what I want people to feel. And nowadays, after 12 years, when I dress some clients, the feedback is always, oh my gosh, Rose, everybody said I was beautiful, I was very nice, and I never heard this so many times, so for many years. So my husband said, I love you when you dress Rose Palhares. So this is, for me, is my goal, is women to feel power and men to love these women, because I know that everybody will buy it and the name will go for many places. And I think this was the way that started in the beginning. So this is the way that I want to get going right now. But today we ship worldwide, but I want to do it in a more ambitious way from 2025 because of the factory that I'm opening. I don't want to be just a brand. I want to be an arm for the African Angolan economy. Yeah.
No, excellent. Thanks so much. That's such a positive message as well. It's
Yeah.
very interesting and indeed. If there's any other questions from the audience, then please do put your hand up or put them in the chat. But just moving on, Adebola, you mentioned the importance of a mentoring of a potential of a mentor for new entrepreneurs, either within the fashion business or not. But obviously, I think within the fashion sector. Given whatever everyone else has been talking about today, I wondered, is it possible to expand on that a little about what you think a mentor would be, how it could have helped you in the early years, for instance?
Okay, thank you once again. I believe the role of the mentor in any business cannot be overemphasized. Like I said earlier in my introduction, you might be doing something right? You might also be on the right track, but there's always this need of validation. There's always this need of someone to tell you you're actually doing something right. Also, the role of the mentor will also help you navigate the risk, the challenges better. The role of the mentor will also kind of speed up your success, so to speak. If you're going to have like a 10-year journey, it could be cramped into an 8 years or 7 years because you have someone who is saying, do it this way. It could even, the role of the mentor could also be linking you with that big person, with that name that just, promotes you. Like Omar said, and Rose, it not necessarily giving you money, I mean, for me, my biggest prize will be returning clients, returning customers, people who will come in and say, oh, I bought this in the red color. Can I have it in other colors? Meaning the product was so good. I remember sometime this year, the First Lady of Kenya, I think someone came into the store and picked a dress for her. And the day she wore it to, I think, to the US, they were meeting. She and her husband were meeting with Biden in the US. And everyone kept sending me a message. Well, have you seen this? I think this is your dress. This looks like Iredire. I think for me, that was a big deal. You know, if the First Lady found our product as the product to wear to meet the president of another country, then it means it's giving you a go ahead to say you're doing something nice. And it's funny how that week we sold out on that piece. And it's been mad. It's been mad. The request for it has been so mad in the company. So I think a mentor can also be the channel to that big stage for you. So the role of a mentor cannot be overemphasized. It do a lot for you more than money. Give you knowledge. You know, for me, I crave for knowledge every now and then. And I want to be able to specifically go and get knowledge for what I need specifically in my space, on the stage where I am in business. I see a lot of people go to fashion colleges, fashion schools. Some people might come into your own stage of business and say, oh, you know what? You actually don't need a fashion college, or this is the course you should go for, specific to your stage in business, specific to your processes, you know, that you run. So by and large, the mentor role cannot be overemphasized. It actually helps and promotes your success. It also helps you on the journey, and mainly just to help you navigate the challenges and the risks that come along the entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you so much. That's a really excellent definition and explanation of how a mentor can help, and obviously then the importance of choosing the right mentors as well. It was very interesting. Thank you so much. I think maybe we've got time for one more question. Christina, you put your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Douglas. So actually going back to in the introduction, I mentioned that we're running an acceleration program for female entrepreneurs, and this is mostly for early stage, really quite early stage entrepreneurs, in the scope of which actually also we have a mentoring component, and we connect them actually with female business incubator managers or just female entrepreneurs who have a lot of experience in the same sector to indeed benefit from this kind of mentoring of several hours and so on. But actually, so my question is to Adebola and the Rose, and it's more related to, I really want to try to understand if you've experienced any specific challenges in terms of being a female entrepreneur. So this notion of female entrepreneurship, you know, in your respective countries or elsewhere, just are there any really sort of challenges that were specific to you know, being female? So that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. In the beginning, I didn't felt, because I was like a little bit overwhelmed by all the dream and wanting to do what I was doing. But since we are in Angola, in Africa, in a country that we know that we buy a lot from outside, we buy from Europe brands, and we just came from our independence in 15 years ago. So our country is a country leader by men, and for most of these men, fashion is nothing. You don't need fashion, and you don't need to. This is only for women that really want this and really think that, oh my gosh, fashion is something that is just for fun. So in the beginning, it was a little bit like that. Second, the color of the skin for me till today is not so easy, because they look at me and see a little bit of European. I always say, look at my nose. but people are like, I'm not 100% Black for them. So it's another problem here. And the fact that I'm a woman, of course, and being fashion and being a leader so young here in Angola and achieve so many things, it's not easy. It's a problem. That's why I think for us women, we need to be well prepared, maybe more than men, not maybe, but more than men in our areas, and showing results. I think from Angola, for men and for this type of business, you need to show results. For men, it's easier. It's, yeah, can be easier for some men and not for others. But if you are in this business that is for women, and if it's not easy, if you are a lady, you are a little bit lighter, and you don't show results, this is fun. So that's why I think with time, and after I gained the recognition of being a fashion designer in Angola and other places, I said, okay, this is not a dream anymore. Now this is my responsibility. And I want them to look at me and see, okay, this is serious, not only for me, because I know in a few years I won't be here, but for other girls and other teenagers, men that will come and have to fight for the fashion in Angola. So I am opening ways and doors. That is not easy, but I'm okay to put my seeds and maybe never see the fruit, but I think I'm seeing and I'm eating the fruits. But for me, it's okay, because I don't think God give you battles that you cannot win. So I'm okay with that. It's not easy, but I'm really okay with that. I think I can grow from this part. Yeah.
Rose, it's funny. You said you wasn't Black enough, right? Sometimes I had the feeling like, yeah, I'm not white enough. Everywhere in the world, things are coming back. So I was
In
trying to
Portugal,
say,
I'm not white enough. In Angola, I'm
yeah,
not black enough.
oh,
I'm okay with that.
yeah. It's I think the main thing is for us all to believe in really what you do and to still keep dreaming also, because
Exactly.
that makes us better. But amazing to hear your story about this one.
But you know,
So,
I always say that if I didn't study in Brazil, maybe my brand wouldn't be the brand that is today. Because since Brazil has the same history as us Africans, I felt the connection that, okay, here we are all the same, you know? Here we can, the connection is about soul, is about intelligence, is about ideas, is about changing. It's not about colors, it's not about what you have, it's about
mhm.
what you can bring to the table. So I always said, if I didn't study in Brazil, maybe I could give up. I don't know, because it's
Yeah,
not easy. Yeah, you have to look at yourself like
yeah,
you have the force. You can do it like everyone else, a little bit more. But Brazil for me was the secret, definitely.
yeah.
Adebola, I don't know if you've got anything you wanted to respond to the question from
Yeah, just to add to what Rose said, I like the fact that she highlighted when you can't argue with results. I mean, so even if I'm a woman in this industry, if I can show you my results, then you can't deny me what I'm worth or what I deserve. I mean, I come from a family where my father didn't differentiate between a male child and a female child. So coming from a manufacturing, and like I earlier said in my introduction, I was running the tissue manufacturing company of the family, and we were the second largest in the country. I couldn't see the fact that I was female until it's been pointed out to me. I mean, because it didn't just occur to me, maybe because of my background, because of the confidence I've always had, as long as I can show results. I mean, my father used to say, as long as I paid the same school fees that I paid for your brother and you have no choice but to give me results. So, so as being a female, one of the challenges that I would say stares us in the face is when you're dealing with workers. And, because your tailors, your makers, they're more male dominated. You have a more male dominated industry compared to the female, because you have more tailors that are men more than the women. So, of course, you being the boss, if you need to kind of show some form of knowledge, you need to kind of show some form of confidence, and you need to show some form of discipline and structure to let them know that I know what I'm doing. I know what I want you to get for me. So I think that's one way you could actually face a challenge as a woman dealing with workers who are mainly male. Of course, you know, coming from Africa culture, I don't know if this happens to you, Rose, where your workers being male feel like I've got wives at home, I've got women at home that I control, then I'm going to have issues with you controlling me. You could have that a bit. So I think it's just about you knowing your audience and knowing how to deal with and handle such people. I guess that's what it is.
And Debola, I was divorced in 2015, so it was a problem here in Africa.
They'll be worse off.
Like, oh, it won't work for her, you know? It's like, there is a problem there. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna see nothing of that. I'm going to show you that, oh, you are with me or you are not with
you
me.
are.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, we're here.
Absolutely. I think we have time for one more question. And Beatrice, you've got your hand up. Yes, can I ask you to maybe give the question, Beatrice?
Yes. Hi. Hello. You hear
Hi.
me?
Yeah,
Hi.
please go on.
Thanks. Yes. First of all, thank you for all of your contributions. Amazing to listen to. Yeah, I'm Beatrice, founder of the digital platform Fashion Africa Now. And I have been in this space for, quite some years, a decade. Started out at a time where designers of African heritage were not really interesting for the international industry, and access was super challenging. I mean, it's still somehow. But I have actually a question for BIC Africa, because as I got to know, you have the interest, or you're already doing it, mentorship, because this is exactly what I see what is lacking for entrepreneurs. Mentorship, like how can they get really the person they need, or the organization they need to get to the next level. And I wanted to know, how do you select your mentors, and what kind of mentorship programs you currently have running? Is it not only in these countries you're focusing now, or somewhere else?
Yeah, thank you, Beatrice, for the question. So actually, as I said before, well, we're mainly working with business incubators. So as such, we ourselves don't really run programs with entrepreneurs directly. What we did is, in the scope of some of our boot camps, is that we actually held a training for the incubators to learn how can they also set up such type of programs, because we saw that in a lot of cases, the incubators in Africa that are supporting entrepreneurs, they don't necessarily have, let's say, all of it worked out. So we encourage them actually to ensure that they set up a mentorship program, and indeed that they match their clients, their entrepreneurs, with mentors who have the experience in their respective sectors, who have the knowledge. And I mean, I will not go into very much detail now, but there are different models, you know. So in some cases you can set up sort of a free mentorship and engage, for example, diaspora members. In other cases, there are cases when there can be a paid mentorship program set up. So our role in this was more to guide these incubators towards setting up mentorship program. And in our own example, so as I said, the only service we run with entrepreneurs is this acceleration program for women entrepreneurs. But for that, we actually engage European incubators from our members within EBN. And so every year we have a cohort of about 20 early stage female entrepreneurs. And as part of that, we have about, so previously we had about 8 hours of mentoring between them and representatives from this business incubator. So it was mostly business incubator staff, business incubator managers from Europe, all of them female. And again, we matched them based on just experience and sector and what made most sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because
because maybe
I will just put it a little bit more precise, because what I noticed with this kind of programs, that when incubators or accelerator programs are being created, that again, the people who have been in the movement for so long, Black people, are then not again invited to be a mentor. So I noticed, and this is what I'm experiencing here in Germany, when some of my young students are always so happy when they see, oh wow, you're Black, you're of African origin, because I don't know how it can change that you also really consider to include the diaspora, because sometimes it really matters if you have someone who has been going through it and who is also of African origin. That really makes a difference. And this is just something what I just wanted to put in, that when you create these programs, to consider also really diasporans or people of African origin, because we are experts as well, because mostly we see then white people who are now teaching and being a mentor, even not have experienced what it actually means to be Black and in this industry.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the feedback, definitely. And I think that that's also when we had these trainings with the incubators, that's one of the messages we try to pass along, you know, to involve diaspora members with African origin who now live in Europe or elsewhere, for them to be mentors, to engage them as mentors for the incubatees in the African incubators. So yeah, I think that thank you. That's a valuable feedback, and we will try to emphasize it as well in our future trainings. And I mean, if any of you wanna be mentors again, then just let us know, and we can also connect you to with the incubators that we're working with in Africa.
Yeah. Thanks.
Absolutely. I think that's, you know, if BIC Africa could then, you know, link the possible mentors to the relevant incubators through the network which has been developed. Obviously, that's, you know, a clear positive thing coming out. I'm aware that we're running out of time. Just got a minute or so left. So I really wanted to thank our three entrepreneurs here, Omar, Adebola, and Rose. Thank you so much for your time. I know everyone is so busy. You're running your own companies. It was marvelous to hear from all three of you with different stories, with different aspects of the fashion sector from different countries, but with certain themes running through what the three of you, what you were saying, and it was so interesting and really inspirational to hear how your companies have been successful, and how you really realized to have an impact both in the sector, but with the people you're working with and the people you're supplying and your customers as well. So really, from my side, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much for the other participants as well. Christina, I don't know if you have a word to
Yeah,
say.
just to add a big thank you from our side as well, from BIC Africa, to the three speakers. Really, just what Douglas said, it was really inspiring, and I think this is what will also, you know, give the drive to entrepreneurs when they listen your stories to also be motivated and you know, driven. So thank you for being with us today. We will put this recording on YouTube as well, so it will remain accessible. And yeah, thank you, Douglas, as well for moderating the session and
for Lucas and Dawit as well for creating the session
exactly.
as well.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you, Omar.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Lucas,
Ross.
thank you.
Adebola. Thank you
All
so much.
right.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.